Full disclosure here, I hadn't even been thinking about this, even though we knew Brady's contract's expiring, even though I've been as loud as anyone that Brady is in a far different place of his career than he was in even 2 years ago. But then I see this column, and the column's written by Tom Curran. Tom Curran is as plugged into this team as anybody. Tom Curran wrote a book with Julian Edelman, Brady's best friend on the team. And Tom Curran says at the very beginning of this column, flatly, barring a seismic change, this is going to be Tom Brady's last year in Boston. Does not say in the NFL. Says it's going to be his last year with the Patriots. And so I read that, and I'm like, well, what else is he going to tell me in this piece? And the more you looked at quotes from Robert Kraft back in 2013 when Tom Brady got his last major contract extension, where Robert Kraft says, we just can't be the type of team that spends 18 to 20% of a salary cap on a quarterback. And that was, when Tom Brady was still in the prime of his career. And then you remember what happened this offseason, Canty. This offseason, Tom Brady, his 3 previous years, here's what he had done. 3 years ago, executed the single greatest comeback in the history of the Super Bowl to win his 5th championship. 2 years ago, wins league MVP, throws for 500 yards in the Super Bowl that they ultimately lose to Nick Foles and the Eagles. Last year, he goes toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes, even though he didn't play great in the AFC Championship game. They go on the road, win that game, win their 6th Super Bowl. And this offseason, not only did he have to sing for his supper for a contract extension, he sang for it. Said to the media, you guys think I deserve one? Ask Mr. Kraft, do a poll. And didn't get it. If Bill Belichick was not comfortable giving Tom Brady a contract extension and refused to, even though Brady wanted one, after those last 3 years, the hell is he going to do this year when they don't win the Super Bowl, when they don't make the Super Bowl, when Brady is having the worst year he has had arguably of his career, inarguably of the last 15 years? So I read this column and I said, could Tom Brady have 20 quarters left as a Patriot quarterback? The 4 regular season games? And if I'm right and they're going to lose either to Houston or Baltimore or Kansas City, whoever they play in the divisional playoff game, yeah, he could. And I don't think that means he's got 20 quarters left in the NFL because he does not want to hang it up. And there are going to be plenty of teams that would love to have even a 43-year-old Tom Brady. But the column is persuasive and the history is persuasive that unless they go on a what I would consider very unlikely Super Bowl run, I do think this is his last year in New England.
Well, here's the thing. I understand all the points that you're trying to make, but I don't understand why everybody wants to bury Tom Brady and the Patriots with this situation. They're a double-digit win team already through the first 12 games, and they're in the driver's seat to have a top seed in the AFC, either 1 or 2, just depending how things shake out the rest of the way with the Baltimore Ravens. But, I mean, they got this game coming up against the Kansas City Chiefs, and then guess what? Their next 3 opponents, you're talking about the Buffalo Bills, Cincinnati Bengals, and Miami Dolphins.
Well, the Bills are tough now. But
the Bills are tough, but the Bills got to go to Foxborough.
Yep.
And so I just have a hard time seeing Josh Allen be able to beat Tom Brady in Foxborough, knowing what's at stake. And the Patriots value having that first-round bye in the postseason. So if we're talking about the Patriots being one of 8 teams competing for the championships once we get to January football, then, yeah, I think they got a pretty good chance of making their 9th straight AFC championship game. And if that's the position they're going to be in, I have a hard time betting against them not to make it back to the Super Bowl. But based on what I've seen on the offensive end, you have to be a little bit concerned about the Patriots because usually by this time of year, we figured out what kind of identity they need to be in order to win football games. We saw that at the end of last year when they turned into a 2-back running game with Rob Gronkowski as an in-line blocker at the tight end spot. So I haven't seen any semblance of what they're going to be in terms of being able to consistently move the ball on the offensive side. And you have to be a little bit concerned of the optics you saw on that Sunday night game with Brady screaming at his receivers.
Well, I'm really glad you bring that up because, by the way, if they make the Super Bowl, I agree with you, he'll be back. I think if they make the Super Bowl, he'll be back because that's, even by Patriot standards, it's a hugely successful season. I don't think you have to win it. But let's just assume, for the sake of argument, because I don't think you would dismiss as an impossibility that if they play Houston again in the first round of the playoffs, that they lose. If Baltimore all of a sudden somehow falls to the 3 line, Baltimore gets them, but whatever. Yeah. Let's just say they have a disappointing run in this year's postseason pre-Super Bowl. It's not only that we know what Belichick feels about moving on a year early rather than a year late. It's that it seems to me pretty clear that Tom Brady disagrees with me that he is a big part of the problem in New England right now. That Tom Brady, I would imagine, feels let down by the lack of weapons, frustrated by that he has to get with these rookies and young guys and that the timing routes aren't there, that they didn't replace Gronk, that they never adequately replace Brandon Cooks, who they traded for, got him for 1 year, moved him out, and since then tried to replace him with Josh Gordon, gone, Antonio Brown, gone. And you do have to wonder if Tom Brady, after feeling like, okay, you guys wouldn't give me the extension I wanted. You wouldn't put the weapons around me I wanted. I've had the most frustrating year personally in what, at least maybe ever in the last 15 years. If we throw out the blown ACL year, the LA Chargers, where he owns a home, going to be in the market for a quarterback next year, man. Like, now, do they want to move on from a 37-year-old to get a 43-year-old? I don't know, but if they're trying to get market share, Tom Brady sure can help. To me, it wouldn't, if they have a disappointing end in the playoffs, it might be where both sides say, you know what? You think I'm washed. I think you haven't done enough for me. You didn't want to pay me. I'm the greatest player ever. You could have locked this up a year ago when I wanted the extension. You wouldn't give it to me. Maybe the Bulls moved on from Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. Like the last time the Bulls were saying, listen, we're not bringing back Phil, we're not bringing back Scotty, and Michael said, all right, I'm done with this. He clearly still wanted to play basketball. He came back. Like
the 49ers moved on from Joe Montana.
And I know they had Steve Young, obviously, and the Patriots don't, but sometimes for the greatest ever, it's messy at the end.
No, you're absolutely right, but I have to look at the other side of that, which is what is Bill Belichick's alternative at the quarterback position? What, you going to roll with Jarrett Stidham? I mean, they don't have somebody that they've been grooming, somebody that's been waiting in the wing. It was Jimmy Garoppolo, but we see Tom Brady went over Bill Belichick's head to Robert Kraft and forced that trade. So it's a situation right now, you're as loyal as your options. I don't think Bill Belichick and the Patriots are going to have many options in terms of replacing a player like Tom Brady and then being able to keep it pushing in terms of competing for championships.
Real hard, though, to picture Tom Brady in a uniform that isn't a Patriots uniform.
Can I give you a make-believe scenario where everyone wins?
Go.
Trade Tom Brady and Josh McDaniels for Dak Prescott. Dallas gets its coach, gets its quarterback. They get the biggest star in the league. Patriots get Dak. I'm sure they'd love to pay him $40 million. Works out great.
That's a great
I think we'd rename this show First Things First on the Cowboys if the Cowboys had
right.
I really think that's what would happen.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.